It's no secret that Bethesda Softworks had a rough 2017, with disappointing sales for Prey, The Evil Within 2, and Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, even though all three games were reviewed positively. So in 2018, Bethesda Softworks is looking for a bounce-back year, and it's clear they need to show something big from Bethesda Game Studios, who's been pretty quiet since releasing the last of Fallout 4's DLC in late 2016. But now it seems that things are finally starting to pick up. Besides just having a rough year in sales, it also didn't help with a mediocre showcasing at E3 2017, which really just triggered many fans with the introduction to the Creation Club, which is not paid mods, but it really is paid mods. But there were a few more announcements like Dishonored 2 DLC, The Evil Within 2, Wolfenstein 2, and a few other smaller things like VR ports, but it was a weak showcase, and Bethesda knows they cannot return with a showcase like last year. The good news is, though, that it appears that Bethesda Game Studios is preparing for some big reveals at E3 2018. So first, we know that there will be some smaller things like Prey DLC Set on the Moon, which has been teased by Arcane a few times now. Other than that, it seems that the Elder Scrolls Online is preparing to reveal its next expansion here in March. Elder Scrolls Legends just announced an expansion coming later this month, and Skyrim VR on PC was just announced, so it looks like Bethesda is getting a lot of their smaller announcements out of the way and not trying to push anything to E3 2018. In case you didn't already know, while Bethesda has officially announced their showcase, it also looks like they're doing it at the same place as last year based on early floor plans. What this means is that Bethesda certainly will be revealing some big games, and the highlight certainly will be coming from Bethesda Game Studios. What that may be, well, it may actually be a few announcements. The big grand one will probably be Starfield, which is said to be their rumored space sci-fi RPG that we only know about based on an active trademark. Todd Howard, the lead guy at Bethesda Game Studios, has made it clear that they want to try new things, which is why The Elder Scrolls 6 is still years away. At last year's E3 2017, this was something that was teased a little bit by Bethesda Softworks VP Pete Hines.
Elder Scrolls 6 will eventually be made, but it is multiple big releases down the plan for those folks. They felt like they wanted to work on some other stuff and do some other things, and quite honestly, like they didn't want to be a developer that was just Elder Scrolls Fallout for the rest of their development careers, and they wanted to be able to sort of self-determine what things they worked on next, whether it was existing stuff, whether it was new IP, and I think Todd and his team have earned the right given the quality of this stuff. And I think once you see sort of how the next two titles come out and then how Elder Scrolls 6 kind of ties into what those games are doing and about, I think it'll all make sense. But I think it's going to be a while before all of those things happen.
So you may be wondering, what do we know about this mysterious game that will probably be announced at E3? Well, recently Todd Howard sat down and was interviewed by Ted Price for the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences Game Maker's Notebook podcast, in which Todd was asked many questions about what he's working on. While he didn't say flat out what BGS is working on, he did reveal some key details, with the first being this.
Do there emerge points of divergence where, say, you've got a team who really wants to do something with AI that doesn't necessarily fit in the other franchise?
Well, we're never doing them completely in parallel.
Yeah.
So there's always one project that's in pre-production, maybe for years, and another one we have in full production, where the bulk of the team is on it, and then some people might be focusing on pre-production on something else. And those are different skill sets, whether it's concept artists or this or certain types of programmer. And so usually what's happening, take an animation system change that we're doing right now. We're finishing for one of our projects, though that's a project that's in pre-production, getting a new animation system, whereas the one that's in full production is using the old one. But those people look. And what happens, though, is that fuels them. The animators in production are commenting on the animation system in pre-production, and they're getting excited for, hey, I'm going to get to use that when I roll onto when that project rolls onto production.
Now, what this reveals is that their project they're working on right now is finishing up, but it also seems once again they'll be using the Creation Club, but obviously further improving on it. He would also discuss really why there isn't any good transportation in any of their games by saying this.
What are some things that you don't do with horses? Just so as a player I can look.
Now it's how they control. We added combat on them later, but how they move, they can't move that fast because of the streaming system. So if we make them really, really run, then the game's not going to be able to stream in that town, and you'll be running and there'll be nothing there. It will suddenly appear when the hard drive catches up.
Clearly, this kind of confirms, at least to me, that their engine is holding them back, and it makes me wonder if they are working on Starfield, will this again be just us walking around from place to place? But later on, Todd would also discuss how long games usually take for them to make.
Do we keep investing time into this feature?
How long did it take you to make that call? Is it months, years?
And the other one with that is they go throughout the project. That's real, if you, I think most developers who have worked on games that take, 3 to 5 years that our stuff takes, you're doing it throughout.
Yeah.
Next, he dives into the state of Bethesda Game Studios and how big they are now. As some of you may already know, that only around 100 people worked on Fallout 4, but their next project seems to have many more hands involved.
We have the main group in Rockville. We have the studio in Montreal. We work with other parts of ZeniMax. Escalation was a studio, and there's other people throughout the larger Bethesda that are working on our game. So it's, over 300 full-time now, which is unique for us.
It sounds like this podcast was recorded before the Bethesda Game Studios Austin announcement, which we'll discuss a little bit later on. But the last really important thing he said is hinting at a new IP.
If you were not working on Fallout or Skyrim, what other themes would you be interested in besides, say, the D&D related themes and post-apocalyptic stuff?
We have, I don't want to say.
Well, I don't want you to reveal anything. I was just asking about you personally.
Personally.
What kind of books do you find yourself reading that are not in that vein? Or what kind of entertainment do you find yourself drawn to? And what kind of games do you like playing that are not what you make?
I still like worlds that aren't completely realistic, that they, whether that's science fiction, fantasy, or historical ones, I like more than, not that that's not real, but it's not modern day. I enjoy the modern day stuff in games, I think GTA is great and things like that, but I like to figure out what makes a world tick.
Okay.
And then how I would touch that. So we made a list when we were back doing the Elder Scrolls Longer, right before we got Fallout, and we getting a lot of pressure. Not pressure, we wanted to. We're going to do something else. Let's make the list of here are the things that we would like to do one day. And Fallout, post-apocalyptic was at the top of it. But there's other things in that list. That's what I would say. Where some of those we're investigating. That we'd like to try some new things. Though we love the worlds of Elder Scrolls and Fallout as well. They're ones that we're not going to leave behind.
That's great news for fans.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you guys are so well known for bringing those worlds to life. It doesn't really matter what the theme is if you do it the same way you did it with Elder Scrolls and with Fallout. That's a win.
We'll see where it goes. We've tried before and then and backed off. So you got to find the time where you say, yeah, this feels good. Let's go all in.
The funny thing about Todd Howard's wording is he clearly is being careful. But looking into his studio's past, they have wanted to do a space RPG for years. They originally were working on a game called The 10th Planet in the 90s, which ended up getting canceled. And about a decade ago, Todd Howard was asked why they couldn't do a Star Trek single-player RPG, in which he said this.
Why don't you make a Star Trek game that's like Fallout or Oblivion? Why can't we have like a full Star Trek single-player RPG?
Because we don't have the rights anymore.
Oh, you don't?
We had them briefly. Nothing was developed internally. Though there was a pitch to do a big Star Trek RPG,
really?
like Starflight kind of.
Why didn't that work out?
We were doing other things. We made Fallout, I mean, we can't do everything, but
you'd have made a ton of money off of that. I don't know.
Todd, can you say what era of Star Trek you guys were pondering?
We were pondering classic, yeah.
But the big note is that Todd Howard and his team likes fantasy, and doing something in a sci-fi future makes sense to me. I mentioned earlier Bethesda Game Studios Austin, and it's important to understand what this expansion means because Battlecry Studios has been rebranded as BGS Austin. Battlecry previously had been working on their own game, Battlecry, which didn't get the reception Bethesda had hoped for, so the game has since been cancelled, and for the last few years it's been a mystery what this studio has been up to. They assisted on Doom's multiplayer in 2016, and since have obviously been making the transition to BGS Austin. The studio is led by Doug Mellencamp, who has a resume that includes working at Sony Online Entertainment as a lead on Star Wars Galaxies, which was an MMORPG I believe in 2003, as well as working at BioWare as a technical director on Star Wars The Old Republic, another MMORPG, and his resume is pretty much full of work on online related games. So it's important to understand Bethesda Game Studios is expanding and adding the Austin office to start delivering online content. We do know that it's been noted Todd Howard does not like doing multiple big projects at the same time, so just one speculation, but the new IP Starfield probably will be the first BGS game to get some sort of multiplayer. Todd Howard has discussed in the past that almost every single game of theirs, they've had a prototype for a multiplayer, they've just never gone forward with it. But by bringing in the Battlecry team, it seems that they are finally going to be introducing multiplayer. It seems that BGS Austin, who only recently was revealed to the public, may have actually been working with the Maryland and Montreal branches for quite some time now. They are the multiplayer experts, and I think it's clear Bethesda wants to branch their games out further. So at E3 2018, I do believe we will get our introduction to Starfield. Will it be coming out this year? I don't know. It seems that a lot of developers are scared of this fall because of Red Dead Redemption 2. Days Gone was delayed just because to 2019. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 has jumped 2 weeks ahead. The next Tomb Raider is coming in September, and I'm sure many other games like Battlefield 5 will avoid getting close to Red Dead Redemption 2's October 26th date. So while I'm sure Todd Howard likes short announcements to release windows, this clearly is different because of the competition this year with Rockstar's first game since 2013, and the fact that Starfield is a brand new IP. Now, other than Starfield, it's really a mystery of what could and will be shown. There have been rumors for years that Fallout Online could and will be happening. ZeniMax, the parent company of Bethesda, fought hard for the rights and won them through legal battles in 2012. I would not be surprised that ZeniMax Online Studios, who has been all about ESO for years, could be working on a Fallout MMO that gets revealed at this year's E3. While I'm sure we all would prefer a proper spin-off like Obsidian's New Vegas, I think from a business point of view and the fact that Fallout is at its height of popularity right now, it just works. Could we also see some remasters for Fallout? It's possible, but I think right now, seeing the success ESO is having and the potential for Fallout as an MMO spin-off, it's just smart, even though it's nothing many of us want. Although again, it's important to understand that many casual players will come out in droves just knowing that there is a new Fallout, no matter what it is. Besides just that, there's also a good chance that id Software at the very least teases a Doom sequel. But before I end this video, please recognize that there are a lot of fake leaks going around, such as this one, in which another YouTuber discussed in a video, in which the original poster made an edit to his leak, and pretty much laughed and acknowledged it was fake after the YouTuber Juicehead discussed it in a video. Happens to the best of us, but just be very cautious right now, especially with things sounding too good to be true, and E3 being just around the corner. It seems before every single E3 fake things pop up, like last year, Cellular's claims, and not to mention the fake Elder Scrolls 6 Valenwood memo, which came a few years before that. But anyway guys, it looks like Bethesda's E3 will be a big improvement over last year's, but what do you guys think of and expect from Starfield? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, but thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.